I'm fine.
Hey,
If
I
you,
think, Anya, I'm sorry. I didn't
yes.
get to, I was just laughing because what you were saying about grace and being tired and y'all going nonstop. So thank you. You completely have been. I think everybody can like attest to the fact that we all walked away with something that we didn't know. And you are self-taught, right? And Cav, well, Cav is Cav.
Yes.
But I think what you were trying to say was like at the end of the day got to end.
That part.
Glorilla said it best.
That part. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ramona.
But thank you.
Yep. You're welcome, love.
Both.
Yeah. All right. So right here, I just want y'all to open up a Google link and type in makerworld.com. I love Maker World. A lot of y'all probably don't even realize a lot of the questions and stuff y'all be looking for to be made or asking somebody else to make the file for you. And you can actually do it for yourself. It's right here at your fingertips in Maker World. So the first thing we're gonna start off with, and this is a small beginner user-friendly project because like I said, we listen and we hear y'all. But this is also, for people who didn't know, that you could come in here and do this, whether if you're, a beginner or not. But you can come in here, for instance, the name keychains. So when you seen those teacher appreciation keychains and stuff like that going around, all them people was doing was coming right in here. It's free, guys. It is free to use. You decide which one works for you, what is your liking. So you click on it. This was one that I used. You click right here on customize. I'm not logged in. You get logged in. Oh, I know why. In the wrong profile per usual. But you just click on customize and customize it, right? So I know it probably look freaky and weird. You don't understand what a lot of this is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it is not broke, do not fix it. So all you coming in here to do is get your name. So we're gonna do for an example, since this is a two line, this was real popular. Um, we're gonna do Mrs. Let's start with Mrs. So I'm gonna type in Mrs. and a dot right there, and then I'm gonna come down to line 2, and I'm gonna type in, let's say Johnson. No, Johnson's too long. We're gonna say Mrs. Brown. Let's do Brown. We're gonna call this one Mrs. Brown. All right. So then me, if you're not a person that like to touch stuff and you feel like if you do something and you don't know how to fix it, don't come around here touching stuff. But I like to touch stuff because I'm not afraid because I know if I mess up, all I gotta do is start all over again. Where's it going? It ain't going nowhere. It ain't gonna get done no quicker, whether if I start over or not. So at the end of the day, you can come right here, you can play around. So you read and you can see what is what setting, and it'll tell you. So if you want this ring bigger, this hole bigger right here for your key, it says the keyhole offset, keyhole size. So I'm gonna think offset, that's the outside of the key ring. So then I probably want to change this one. And I would just move it a couple times. And then if I feel like I know where I want it at, then you just click on generate, and it's going to generate the name for you. And as you can see, that went up bigger and all that. You can come down here and play with the width, the height, the style of your font. It'll give you different options, to choose for your font. And then whenever you click on anything in here, don't feel like, oh, it's not changing. It's not changing. I'm not doing something right. Every time you click or add something in here, you have to click on generate. You have to click on generate. So once you click on generate, then whatever changes you made to it will show up in here. So now let's say you wanted to let me see, let's change the font. Let's go. And each one will have different fonts in them. So you click around in them and play around in them. And so this one might not have fonts in it you want. You can go back to this page and find one with a font in it. You know, find one that got fonts that you want in it. It's totally up to you. That's totally up to you. So I'm gonna come back down here though because I don't want that. I just wanted to show y'all. I was on 4. I'm gonna go 5 and generate. All right. So now I'm done. I got credits. We're gonna download. It's gonna ask you to select your printer. Download. So you can download the STL or the 3MF. Be mindful if you download the STL, you're gonna have to color it. If you download the 3MF, it's easier to color because all you're doing is, just changing the color to what you want. And now that's downloaded. No, that is not it. There you go. And downloads. Come on. Where's it going? Oh, there you go. All right, so then here go your Bamboo Studio file. We're going to double click on it and open it up. I need to update. I really do. Well, as soon as we can get it to open up for us, hold on. Go back.
Underwater.
I know. All right, let's try it again. We might have to download it again. Okay, I'm not updating yet, but I will eventually. All right, and just like that, it comes in. Our keychain comes in. So then you could basically come over here on the right hand panel. You can add your colors. So let's say you wanted it's where the white is. Say you wanted that blue. So you would just put the blue and say you wanted that black, or if you wanted that black, or if you wanted the black white, you just would change it right there. If you want to go up in size, you can go up in size in here in Bamboo, or you could have one up in size over here and play with um your size over here as well. But like I said, come right in Bamboo. The scale tool is right here. Right here. It's that simple. So when you seen them big keychains going around here with the name on them, this is all they were doing was coming inside of a free program doing them. You don't gotta go to Etsy and pay for $7 to $10 to $15 for somebody to, or it says edit into Tinkercad. If you don't have Tinkercad skills, why would you buy a file off of Etsy that requires you to edit and put your name inside of Tinkercad? Because the reason why I brought this to class tonight was because I had seen somebody had posted one of those nameplates. They had bought the file off of Etsy, and it was crazy because I bought the same file before and I experienced the same issue. When I bought the file, I didn't know how to edit it and I was going crazy. I was frustrated and I was like, yo, what is going on? So what I did was I slowed down, and the creator had a video on YouTube of how to edit the file, right? So Now I got everything I needed, but if I would have, just read properly, I would have knew that I was supposed to have Tinkercad. At the time, I didn't have Tinkercad skills, so I didn't know what I was doing in Tinkercad at all. It was all foreign to me, and I was frustrated. I'm talking about frustrated, but again, be patient. I was patient with myself. I slowed down. I went and pulled up a video and got everything I needed. So then, as I start moving around, I realized, why am I going to paying $7 and $8 and $15 for this file? This is one file to edit it. What if I don't like this style all the time? And I didn't like the style. It was ugly. And then another thing, I was locked into the font. I couldn't change the font of it. She had the font locked on it. So I could only use the file with the font that it came with. And I didn't like that. I wanted to be able to, switch up the font and choose my own font options. So that's when I started coming on Maker World, playing around on Maker World, and I stumbled across this, being able to come on here and do this. So now I don't ever have to go buy another file for a keychain to make a keychain for me with a custom name, because I can come right here and they have every version, you can think of. So another person, so you can just come right here and they have all different, they have the monogram ones, circle, just different styles. Like the possibilities are endless. This is people that already created these files for you. And on Maker World, you have the capability of being able to edit the file to your liking. Very useful. That's it. That's all I got for that. So, and then we're going to go back to here. So then once we will size it to our liking, okay, you're just going to basically slice your plate and print, and that's it. And there you go. So you can fill a plate up with a bunch of these if you get a big order, to do a bunch of keychains. And say, like, if you're putting the names on your koozies and stuff like that, if you're doing a name keychain on your koozies and stuff like that, that's exactly where you go and how you are able to accomplish that. So, anybody got any questions? Okay, we're going to move on to our next project. Real simple. So this was posted today. They wanted to know how to make this. Uh all right. So this was floating around as a door sign today. Real simple, real easy to make. It's free and can be done right here in Maker World. So you would just basically, find the one that you would like. So let me see. Let me look at the picture. Okay. All right. We don't gotta do this one if we don't want to, but all right. I'm gonna go with this one. We're gonna go with this one. All right. So, as you see, everything is already done. You don't need to know how to put the name down inside, get the imprint, nothing. You know why? Because that's the beauty of Maker World. It is already done for you. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this to Anye, and you can put your name in it. You don't got to use, mine. Follow along and do what you want to do. All right. So, now I ain't worried about my colors and stuff like that. So all I would do is generate. That's all I'm gonna do is generate, and bam. So here go fonts. You can click here. The only thing I would change, if I would change anything in this file, would be fonts, if anything. But I actually like this font. But here it go, right here. You can click right here in the fonts and change the fonts if you want to. But I am satisfied with this. So I'm just gonna click on download. And we're going to use the P2S. Confirm. Let's click on download. Now, download. All right, let's open our file up. All right. I think this is gonna be hard to do with my name. I think. Give me a second, because I just looked. The examples of Z, and my letter is a A. Okay, hold on. So how we gonna make this work? I didn't think about this, guys. I didn't think about this part. So
What are
I'm
you trying to do?
because okay, look at the picture. You see the hanger part? You know where I gotta put the
Okay,
hole?
why don't you do this? Why don't you save that file and shoot it over to me? And when I get into Bamboo, I'll show him what to do.
All right. He can show y'all how to do it on the letter, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna
Because
send him that.
we were supposed to do it earlier, right? But we didn't get to
Right.
it.
We didn't get to that. Right. 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 All right. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna send Cav that in a minute. Give me a second, Cav. But for the example purposes of what we use in the picture, I'm going to use the letter Z, guys. I'm going to use the letter Z. Let me see what we get. Okay. All right. I'm going to use the letter Z for now until we figure out that other part. We're going to spin the block on that. But let's go ahead and download. We just want to show you how this process of turning this into a door sign. We'll spin the block on that. We'll just do a short video and post that, Kev. I ain't worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. I came in here because I wanted to see, check it out. Now, I am not to the point where you can accomplish this step in here. I'm not there yet. So I'm about to export this as one STL, and I'm going to take this into Tinkercad, because that's where we're going to go insert. And this will be for people who aren't Bamboo strong yet either. So let's go ahead and we're going to title this class. I'm just going to say Z, class Z, and I'm going to download it. All right. So then come back and I'm going to open up Tinkercad. We're going to create 3D design. All right. And then we're going to click right here and we're going to click on import. We're going to click on choose file, and we are going to bring in our letter. Okay. And there we have it. There's our letter. So we want this to be a hanging door sign. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it, because we know we want the pieces to be up here. So we're going to turn it this way so we can work from it this way. And we're going to just come over here and get a cylinder. All right. Drop your cylinder down right there. And you can color it. So say we're going to do black, uh, a red letter with black on the inside. So say we want this piece to be black. So you can just come color it black if you want to. Um, all right. So for a hanging sign, I would say about I would say about, let's see what 3 mm look like. Let's see what 3 look like. Oop, okay. All right, so let's type in 3 there and then type in 3 here. All right. And just come and all right. I think that that's fine for me. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So then we're gonna have that piece selected, our cylinder selected. Then we're gonna click right here up in the left hand top panel. Just click on it to duplicate it. Okay. So now that gives us 2 of them at the size we need. So we're gonna just put one on each side. All right. Now click the triangle in the top and let's go ahead. No, the square right here at the 20. And let's go ahead and start bringing that down to flatten this some. And matter of fact, you can go ahead and turn it into a hole now if it looks better for you to be able to see visually, give you a more visual of what you're working with. I'm going to delete this one because I might play around with the size. So I'm going to delete this one for now. But I think I'm going to bring this up to 5. I might want this at 5. I might want this at 5. Let me see what a 5 looks like. Yeah, I think I like 5 better. I think I like 5 better. All right, so now what I want to do, now I want to go ahead and duplicate it. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. But when we duplicate this one, let's go ahead and turn this one into a solid. And we'll turn that one black. And we're going to make this one just a little bit bigger than the last one. Just a little bit. All right. And then now let's just click on it and drag it over. We might have to turn this one into a... And come down to 1 m on the thickness. Let's do 1 m on the thickness for the solid piece. But I'm gonna turn mine into a hole and turn my hole into a solid because I want to actually see it fit in here. And then I'm gonna just highlight it. And we're gonna click on, make sure you got 2 shapes selected. Click up here on the align tool. And let's go ahead and align it. All right. So now I'm just going to spin that around and check that out. And it's looking good, looking good. It's looking good. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to raise this up some because I want this to go through the solid piece. I'm going to want that to go through. So I'm going to just make that a little bigger. And then we're going to go back and let's turn this back into a hole and turn this back into a solid. And let's make sure now we can click on the triangle to push it through. And you can see it pushing through right there. Okay, what's wrong? What's her question? All right, so now you see it going through. So then we basically going to select, get off of there. We're going to select, move that over. We're going to basically select both of them. I got both shapes. You see two shapes highlighted. We're going to go ahead and union group this together. And just like that, now you got your ring. You got your ring. So we know we need two of these for our sign, right? To be able to hang this up. So then this is where you would duplicate. We're going to go ahead and click on it and click up here and click duplicate or control D. Oops, go back. No. Okay. Or control D. So now let's click on one of them and start working with that one. So now let's just move this over. And you would basically just, put it in. And you can actually click on the piece and click on your model. And you can click on the align tool. And it should be. Okay. And that one right there. But no, I don't like that. We're going to move that up some. Hold on. No, that puts that right there. No. So we ain't even going to use the line on this. We're going to eyeball it on our own. Let's go ahead and just move this up. All right. I'm satisfied with that. That looks fine to me. I might go ahead and just push this in some. Yeah, I might push that in some more. I want to make sure it's not peeking through the bottom down here. That's why I keep doing that. So that's that piece right there. Then we're going to come over here to the other side. Y'all know Tinker be tripping. And all right. We're going to move this up just a little. Okay. Then we're going to go in just a little. That's fine right there. Let me see. And you can look and see. Make sure. Looking good. And I know I could fit a nail in there. A nail could fit in there. Some string could fit in there. You can shrink it down. It's up to you. I would use because of I'm extra. I would probably use like the thick twine. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure it has the room, it needs or whatever. And like I said, once you get it lined up accordingly, it looks like that's a little too high. Let's go down. Okay. All right, yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna click on one of them, hold down the shift key, click on the other one. Let's click on the model, and we are going to union group it together. And just like that, you have your marks for your sign. It's that simple. It is that simple, guys. It is not hard at all. So now we're gonna go ahead and yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna export it. I'm just because we didn't color it in here or nothing. I'm gonna export it as an STL. All right. And just like that, and there you have it. Ladies and gents, that's our sign. And we got our hose for our rope, our nail, our thumb to whatever the piece is going to fit. So then we would basically, I'm going to see if it'll let me do it in here. It will not. So we cannot split this because I was going to paint it Kev's way, but we cannot split this into parts. So we're going to come up here to the paint tool, and we are going to get our paint fill tool, and we are going to just click. Oh, let's go back to red, and then go to edge detection. Go to edge detection, and I have mine at 30, and just click on the inside of the name. We'll go to white, and then click on the inside of the name. Now, I knew that was going to happen. So sometimes coloring in bamboo, when you can't color by object, it's a job. Yes, you can. You can add it. So Kev's going to show you how to do that in the slicer. That's what I was saying early on. So the people who wasn't comfortable with doing it in bamboo, that's why I showed you how to accomplish that process. And this is with anything. If you wanted to add those little holes onto anything, whether if it was like a piece of wall art or anything like that, it's that simple of being able to do it in there. And you would just basically paint it. I'm not in a rush, so I don't mind painting, clicking everywhere I got to click that I want. Because if you don't come in here, okay. So, all right, this is a prime example to show you. So as you see, it only was coloring the top part, and you seeing I'm having to go and click. The reason I'm going and clicking in all these other areas, painting the entire thing, because if I don't paint this entire thing, this is going to be 1,000,001 color changes. Like 1,000,001. This is going to be 1,000,001 color changes if I wouldn't have just came in here and cleaned it up and did what I just did. So now we won't have 1,000,001 color changes. We should only have, I believe, 2, honestly. And then that's the last piece right there, I believe. All right, so it's all painted. Let's go ahead and slice this bad boy up. So now this is totally up to you. So my door signs, I print on my H2S. All right. So basically, I have small door signs and I have large door signs. So you will come and get the scale tool. And so I fill the plate for my large. So this is my large door, my large one on the H2S for the door sign. So that's my large. I fill the plate up with it. And then we will slice it. Oh, we need support. Yes, we do. And I print these all the time. I don't know what I was thinking. But just click on support. Because the name is floating. Always make sure you put your supports on. But I do build plate only on this particular thing. I do build plate only. So now let's go ahead and slice it again. And our error message should go away. And I could have did it with my A and my name. I only wanted to show y'all because of the picture we had up there. I only wanted to show you, but it would have been the same process and tinker with me doing my name. I wanted to be able to show y'all the way it was in the picture with having the both options to be able to incorporate, both parts to hang the Z up. And just like that, 10 hours, 47 minutes, I have a door hanging sign. And there go my holes. And they got the supports in my holes, but they're on the build plate only. They're only on the build plate. And then the build plate, the supports is under the name, supporting the name. Make sure nothing happens during printing time. And it's that simple. It's just easy as that. Any questions? Okay. Kev, what's next? You ready?
I can be if you're going to call it a night.
Yeah, that's the two projects I had for tonight for them because they had been posting about them. So this is something. Can you print that separate? Print what part separate? The name. Put the this part. Now you want to go and be fancy and for what? Print it separate for what? It's in one piece. Why would you want to disrupt it? It come like this. I don't mind. So it's as big as it is. I don't mind the 10-hour print time on it because regardless of what, if I take and cut the name out, just the white part to print that separate, the Z is still going to take that at least 7 hours. You know what I mean? It's still going to take at least 7 hours just with the Z by itself because of how big the Z is. So me personally, no, I wouldn't cut this out. I wouldn't. I wouldn't try to print it separate. I mean, you could definitely come up here to the cut to and you know what I mean, break it down to your liking and chop off, what you want right here. This is how you would do that if you wanted to. So I'm gonna show you how to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely print it in one piece. But if you wanted to, just come up here to the cut tool, and as you can see, this is going to be the area that it cuts. That's where it'll cut at. But then look at it. It's not like you're chopping off the whole name anyway. So I wouldn't even waste my time with trying to do it. You're trying to overcomplicate something. For single color printers, 7 hours seem long with you got to add a pause and do a color swap. That's all you got to do. Add a pause. And yes, and I was about to pull that up. Give me 1 second. But if you have one printer and say you only got one printer and say you only got say you don't have an AMS, all you have to do is come over here and add the pause right here. Right click, add pause. And that's where you swap out and put your white in. To put your white on here. What about splitting into objects? It won't let you. This particular model won't let you split at all. Y'all trying to overcomplicate stuff, y'all, for what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you want to print it separate, then you come over here and you find you one that has it printed separate. It's not that hard, guys. Y'all ain't got to overcomplicate it and make it harder than what it is. So let's see. Initial.
Yeah, the pause option works really well. The one negative where it might make sense to split it is the fact that because your name is floating on top of the A, it will have to be supported. Where if you printed it separate, you would avoid supports.
But again, patience. That's what 3D is, patience. But you see this? This was floating around. A couple people asked, could we make this in class? It's already made up. We don't have to do this in class. This isn't something we would have to actually teach a lesson on. It's actually already done. So, it gives you the options of how to download it and things of that nature, but you can play around on here. The possibilities are endless. Like they are truly endless when it comes to what you can do up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Kev jump in and then I'll tag back in, but I'm gonna let Kev go. If y'all don't have any questions for me, go ahead, Kev. Hello? Kev?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, no, you're fine.
All right, let me get some stuff open here. We'll get to it. All right. Our friendly Inkscape back in action. So this first project I wanted to share with you was something that someone specifically asked for to see. And this, I'll open up the image here. So this was the image that was sent to me. And I thought it might be a good little project to walk through, to kind of tie into what Maya was showing, is like a more maybe simplified approach to doing things. But I wanted to kind of show you both methods of doing this entirely inside Bamboo Studio, and then also doing it in Inkscape. So I'll give you both options here. So if we start, we'll start with the Bamboo method. So I'll go ahead and start a new project here. So what we have to do is use our text tool, and let's just maybe we'll do something like this. Let's do sister, okay? And then we can come in here, and Bamboo Studio should have all of our various fonts available to us. Okay, so you can select whatever font you might like. So then the next step here is to determine how big we want this, how wide. So maybe we'll make it for like one of those big pillar candles. So we'll make this about 4 inches wide. So we'll come up here to our scale tool, and we'll scale that up to say 100. That's 4 inches. Now we do want to use uniform scale. And I really always encourage newcomers to really understand your slicer. I feel like that's where it's really at, because there's so many things that we can do in here where we don't even need any other type of software. But it does come with its limitations, and some things are just easier to do in a program like Inkscape or some outside program. But for simple stuff, you know, we can make this work. So at any rate, we have sister. Now you see this, we can adjust that to change the text gap, so we can lower it down. It's a little touchy, but I want it, something like that will be fine. Now, one thing that's nice in Inkscape is we could really very easily set each one of these letters very specifically, where here it's a little bit more touchy. So you can see it's -77. What if we did 80, but negative, not positive? And see, when you enter in values there, sometimes it does crazy things. So this is, like I said, it's a little bit more finicky. So we'll just bring it back out here. See if we can get it to cooperate. I guess we'll just leave it like that. That'll be fine. So then the next thing is double check its width. So it's not quite that 100 wide. So we'll go back and make it 100 wide. And then let's also change its depth. But so this time we'll turn off uniform scale. And let's do something like, I don't know, 50 is 2 inches. So we probably want, let's just do 75. Something like that. Okay, so you can see now that's quite a bit deeper. And then if we want to add some additional text on top, right? So, and it could be whatever you want it to be. So we can go ahead and hit our text tool, and because we have that selected, it's going to want to put the text on one of the faces. So let's see if we can find where our text went. I guess it's down there. Let's see here. I got you. I guess because this was already text and we want to add more text, it's trying to add text on top of text is what the issue is. So no problem. So we'll just go ahead and not have it selected, and then we'll put the text on there later. So we'll just add some new text here, and let's just say like world's best, something like that. Okay, and of course we could change our font to be whatever you wanted it to be. Let's do something like that. And then let's change the color of that text, and maybe we'll even change the size of the text. Well, we could do it in the text dialog box, or we can just use our scale tool, either one. And so we'll just pull this out here. So the easiest way to put this text on top, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and set this text to its proper thickness. So we'll use 3 for this example. So now that the text is at its proper thickness, then we can go ahead and combine these two together. So we select one, control click the other, and we could right click and merge. And then we'll go ahead and use our assembly tool. So we just click on our new assembly, grab the assembly tool, we'll click on this face. Then we come down here, we need the bottom of this text. And then we could just go ahead and hit 0. No math tonight. Well, that's a lie. We're going to do math, but not on this project. So now you can see we escape out of that. And now this is properly placed. So now I can alt click on this, and we can go ahead and hit our move tool. Move this into position here. And it's right there on top like it's supposed to be. All right, so then we can just come in here, and if we wanted to add a little stand, because this isn't very tall, we could. So for example, maybe this is 75, so maybe we'll do something like this. Let's just add a cylinder. Okay, and we'll move that out of the way so we can see our cylinder. So let's make our cylinder, I don't know, let's go to our scale tool, and let's make it 50. And then this is 75, so let's make this like 60. And you know what? That oval shape is kind of nice. That was a nice little surprise. So let's make that 40. I like that oval shape. So then we can go ahead and rotate this. And we can use our build plate to our advantage. So we can right click on this and center it. And then we can right click on this and center it. So now we know those two are perfectly centered side to side at least. And then we can go ahead and pull this out. So grab our move tool, which is the M key on our keyboard. And when we do move, we have to wait. See how that arrow kind of changes color? That allows us to grab it. Okay, so now you can kind of see what we got going on here. And we could scale this. So we could hit S to scale it, make it a little bit bigger if we wanted to. And we can also shrink it down, something like that. Okay, so I like that. So now what I want to do is put this in the middle. Okay, now if we lift it off the build plate, then we're going to have supports on the backside. That's the one negative. Or we could make this where this piece, we could print this flat, and this piece could be printed to sit on top. So that's another consideration to make. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's see here. Let's go ahead and take this piece and let's just slide it down a little bit. So we'll grab our move tool and slide her down. So you can see where that is. It's not quite all the way through, right? So then we want this piece to be part of this assembly. So we select that piece, Shift Control, right click and merge. And then this is 75. So half of 75 is 37.5. So when we click on this, that's what the Z value should be. So we're going to go 37.5. And so now you can see, well, I was talking about, if we printed it just like this, we could, but then all of this underneath would have to be supported. So we may not want to do that. So what would we do then? Well, if we don't want to do that, what I like to do is I'll just copy and paste this. Always make a duplicate before we move on to this step here. And that's the Boolean operator. So we're going to go ahead and Boolean this. So we're going to go ahead and hit Mesh Boolean, go to subtraction. And you see here we have this green and this green. So we'll select our text and push it over here to the left. Because really all we want to do is cut that. But we do want to choose Keep Original Models. And we'll execute. Now we don't know if it cut until we actually go to move this. So we're going to Alt-click and move it. And you can see it did in fact cut, right? So now all of this will sit on top of this. So now we can print those two things separately. So now that we have that going on, our next thing then is to set up how this would actually print. So again, that's just my spare copy over there. So we can bring this down here so we can copy and paste it. So on one, we don't need this, right? But then on this one, we don't need this. So this, we would go ahead and rotate back to vertically, like so. And then that would print just like it is. Now, we kind of created a problem, but it's not a huge problem, but this may be how you want to print this. If we had left it together, this would have to be supported. And we know that supports can leave ugliness behind, right? So this is on the back side of the candlestick. So is that a huge deal? In my opinion, no. But those extra supports do take extra time to print. But now we have a cavity in this one. So now that we have the cavity in this one, now we've got a problem because up top here is going to have to be supported. So let's just go ahead and slice it and see what it tells us. Let me go ahead and add a new build plate, put that one on there. And let's just slice it and see what it says.
All right, Kev, while that's slicing, Misha wanted to know, so the Z value is always the height of the object divided by 2. That was her question.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be that necessarily. But if we want it to be centered, then yes. So in this case, remember this piece here was 75, and I wanted this to be centered front to back of that 75. So then, yes, it would have to be half. The Z value in that situation was half because I wanted it centered. But if we wanted it off-centered, for example, we could have done that too. But you can see here, according to this, it's not saying that we need supports there. And that's probably because of, I'm not sure why. I mean, I think that would fail without supports personally. But it's saying not. And I don't know if it's because this is at a bit of an angle.
No, it said right there, don't it?
Oh, I don't have it turned on. Oh, yeah, that's why. I didn't have supports turned on. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound like that. So yeah, so let's turn supports on and then we'll see our supports. I don't know what I was looking at there. So you see, all that had to be supported in there. So that piece would take, well, I guess the whole plate really is going to take 3 hours and 46 minutes. But we can do stuff like that entirely in bamboo. Now, the elephant in the room. This, will it fit? Probably not. Okay, this will probably not fit that, right? Because they're both exactly the same size. So what do? Well, we take our peg, right? That's going to go in the hole, and we have to slightly modify the peg. So we could come down here under the quality tab. Now we're in global here, but we could switch over to objects. Doesn't really matter. We could apply it globally. But if we applied this value globally, then it would change everything in the plate. And we wouldn't, for this example, we don't want to change everything. We just want to change this one part. So that's why we have to be on objects. But if we come down here to quality, and then right here, the contour compensation, what do we want to do? We want to make this oval shape slightly smaller than this so it fits. So I might do negative 0.5. Okay. The maximum value that we can add here is either plus 2 millimeters or minus 2 millimeters. And the same is true with the hole compensation. Now, this means an actual hole. Like if it was all the way through, then we could either make the hole slightly bigger or slightly smaller. So in case of a lamp, somebody was making my dad toolbox lamp earlier, and they had a problem with the hole fitting the hole that I had made for it. So we could use this hole compensation to increase the hole, or we could make the lamp post itself, we could decrease, use a negative value under the contour compensation to make that post ever so slightly smaller. So in this case, we've said make this a 0.5 millimeter smaller, and that would definitely fit in that hole with a 0.5 millimeter adjustment. So then we left this one complete so that we could, when I do that on all my files, leave one of them complete so we can, I'll just bring it out here into space. See if we can get a good picture of it here. And let's change our, obviously black is not the greatest color. So let's I usually come over here and do it. So we're going to get a different color. So let's just do white for this example. And we'll leave that black, and then let's turn that, I don't know, orange. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So let's grab a screenshot of this. So we'll grab our little snipping tool here in Windows. And we'll save that to the desktop. Okay, and then we'll come out here to the old interwebs. And let's grab our image. See if we can get chat to help us out here. So we'll give it a prompt. What do we want? Place candle holder on end table. We can get real specific here. So we'll place the candle holder on an end table with a dark red floral and greenery under a lamp, and stick a lit candle on top. Okay, something like that. So let's just see what the results are here. So you can generate your marketing images. You can generate a mock-up to send to your customers. of what this might look like.
Oh, and I am going to come in and say this. My pictures are not AI models, okay? Because several people asked me, could I send them a picture of the girl? And I sent it to them, and they like, no. I'm like, no, that is the actual model. That's just how good I get my AI generated images. But when I post, my images are physical products.
Yeah, so it's the print. The print itself, like the image of the print, the background is AI generated, but the print itself. Do you see there? I guess it's a pretty good representation of what we just made. So that's how we would do it. And we could even get like more specific. If we wanted you could have put in there a glass jar handle, and specified exactly what kind of, or if you wanted a particular color or whatever, you could have been real specific. So, but this is ChatGPT, and of course, this is the paid version. So, so I do pay for it. It's $20 a month, but to me, it's well worth it.
Somebody said, can you bring it closer? Dee wants to know, how does she get the world's best on top of the sister?
Okay, well, the easiest way to do that is to use the assembly tool, and I will go back in there and show you that. That gives you a better view of what that looks like. And we could have wrapped some text around the bottom of our base. That was big enough where we could have wrapped some text around that. So yeah. So it usually gives us pretty decent images. Let's go back a couple steps here. So we're back here on the Prepare tab. So we'll just use this one. So we'll just copy and paste it. And we'll right click and we'll split it to objects. So the world's best goes crashing to the ground. Now these are two separate objects again. So the first thing that we have to do is when we're wanting to use the assembly tool, and especially in this case, we're going vertical. So we need to move in the Z. We have to have this as an assembly in order to move this up. Otherwise, it will not leave the build plate. So we'll select that and control click this one, right click and merge. Okay, and then we'll go up here to the assembly tool and we click on the face of where we want this to be. So right there, and then we'll come up underneath it and we'll click on any one of these faces along here. See how they highlight as we move across? We'll click one of those. And this is the amount, right? So we know that. So we'll hit 0. And now this is, I'm just hitting escape to get out of that. We know that this is now, the back side of this is totally flush with this. All right. So if I were just to grab the move tool, so I'm just going to select this by alt clicking on it, and I hit the move tool and I just pick it up, I can move this anywhere I want to. It's always on that plane. Okay, it's never going to move in the Z. It's just going to move in the X and Y. So anywhere I let go, it's always right there on top. And that's how that works. Only if I deliberately were to move it in the Z can I move it in the Z. Otherwise, it's just XY movement. So now if I just click it again and move it, it's always going to stay on that same plane. Okay, now I saw something in the chat. Let me go. I don't have a merge option, but I'm on a different slicer. Okay. So one thing to really keep in mind too is what slicer are you using? Let's start there. Because the reason I asked that, because in, what is it, Creality Print, it's called something else. It's not, I was just in Creality Print too. but it's called something else. And it might be Assemble, actually. I think in Creality Print, it's Assemble. I don't know if we have any Creality Print users here, but and something else that's really important is, and I think it's often overlooked, and I know certainly I overlooked it. I can't speak for every slicer out there in the world, but I could speak for Bamboo Studio. This slicer really kicks ass. And so you can use this slicer with any printer. So it doesn't matter if you have a Flash Forge or Anycubic or Creality or whatever printer you have, just download Bamboo, follow along with the videos, and you'll be golden. Now, I know somebody asked for a video on Creality Print the other day on making a can opener. And this XY business about putting stuff on top of stuff, I looked everywhere on YouTube to see if there was a video that existed that showed you how to do it in Creality Print, and I could not find it specifically. And I consider myself a pretty savvy person when it comes to 3D modeling, and I couldn't figure it out. Not in Creality Print. Could not figure it out. So that's the takeaway. You can use Bamboo Studio with any printer. All we would do when you hit File and Save Project As, it's going to save you a 3MF file. And you would then import the 3MF file into whatever slicer you're using. Now, the settings that we use in Bamboo Studio will often not translate to your slicer. So you'll still have to set your settings properly in your slicer. But as far as the geometry and where things are as far as the model, that will translate, just not the settings. So, for example, if your slicer didn't have that XY compensation setting, that wouldn't transfer over. But the geometry will. So if you find your slicer confusing, just use Bamboo Studio. Just download and use Bamboo Studio, save it as a 3MF file, and then import that into your slicer, set up your settings, fire it off to the printer. Now, if you really want to get deep in the weeds, there's actually print profiles for just about every printer out there in the marketplace that you can import into Bamboo Studio. So you could import your Anycubic print profile to Bamboo Studio, and then you send straight from Bamboo Studio to your Anycubic or to your Creality printer or to your Flash Forge or whatever. So there are print profiles available for about every printer, but the process of installing the print profiles, that's another whole process. So yeah, so that's what I would recommend, is just use Bamboo Studio, because it and like the Orca slicer is a derivative of Bamboo Studio. So even the icons and everything, the whole interface layout is very, very similar. So Rose,
I've heard people, I'm sorry, to say that they didn't like some of the limitations in Bamboo, and so they imported their stuff to Orca, and they like that. Have you tried that before?
no, because I wonder what limitations they were referring to. 'Cause I guess I haven't found them, but
I'm not sure if it maybe was it was something with, I think, the interface. It was the interface. I just read that last week, and they said that now it's perfect once they did that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. If I can find it, I'll shoot it off to you.
Yeah, I don't know. I have Orca installed on my other laptop because I have played with it a little bit. But like all these icons and all these icons, all that's identical.
Okay.
Between the two. Like I said, Orca is a derivative of Bamboo Studio, so it's very, all this stuff over here is almost identical. So it's very, very similar.
Okay, thank you.
Rose, did you have a question?
Yes. When you're talking about the creative slicer about adding a keychain negative. The way I was able to do it was I downloaded the negative part they do have there on Maker's World, And I added it as a part and then turned it into a negative once I arranged it.
Oh yeah, yeah. My issue was this Z value. I could not figure out how to specify the Z value in Creality Print.
Yeah. The thing is, I would have to make it like wider, as if I guess with the curly slicer it was too small, so it wouldn't really work. So I would have to scale it to be wider and a little bit bigger in order
You're
to make
talking
it work.
you're talking about the keychain negative. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I'll open up Creality's print here just to show you what I was talking about. I could, like I said, I don't know if there's any Creality users, but as far as like, you know, I don't think I'm not sure that you'll find another video on the internet that would show people building models inside the slicer. I'm not sure that is a very big process here, but you could see, if we look at, you could see here, these buttons are similar, right, to Bamboo Studio. The build plate is similar. This is a little bit different over here, and then you have all these buttons over here. But let me just save this. So we're going to save this file, and then we'll import this into Creality Print. So for those of you who are using a foreign slicer, and we could go ahead and we can hit Control-I just like in Bamboo Studio. And let's see here, go to our desktop and right here. So that this is the same file that we had, just like Bamboo Studio, right? Geometry only. So, and just like in Bamboo Studio, we can add build plates. So all that's, this is a little different, but see here, the global and the objects, very similar to Bamboo Studio. So all of that is quite similar. The one thing that I don't understand is if I alt click that piece right there and I go to my move tool. So let's rotate. See there? It shows what the Z value is there. But here's the thing. If I take this and I split it, just like we have in Bamboo, right, to objects, everything goes crashing to the ground. And I click on this, and I use the same logic that we had in Bamboo, and I go to move. So this, it's showing that this is 1.5. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it is the same. I don't know. When I was in here the other day, I was like, I don't understand it. So, but that's showing at 1.5, and that piece is 3. So that is the correct Z value. So if I go ahead and make that 37.5, well, I can't because it's not part of assembly. But here in Creality Print, it's called something different. When I right click, see, it's not merge, it's assemble. So it might be something similar in your slicer. But anyhow, if I hit assemble, then I can. The one thing I did not understand in here is I don't think this has the assembly tool. Maybe that's what I was trying to find. Doesn't have the assembly tool. I couldn't find it, or an equivalent tool. It says assembly, but it's not for actually assembling a model. But at any rate, if I go to move and you see here, yes, so I knew I wasn't going crazy. So you see, that is 3 millimeters. It's sitting on the build plate, but it's showing me -36. And I don't understand what that number equates to. So if I put it at 37.5, which is what we would do in Bamboo, see, it's not where it needs to be. So, and I don't know how to calculate what that number is supposed to be. Doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
I sent it to you, the article, but they said that Orca Slicer makes experimentation feel deliberate.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
was the cloud integration why they prefer, now that Orca will will work with Bamboo.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Huh?
All right. So yeah. So anyhow, that's how that all works. So let me go ahead and save this. And we'll go take a look at a different project. So any other questions on this particular topic? I know we're already at 2 hours. So let me go ahead and create a new project here. And I thought it might be interesting to take a look at a real world project that came up during the week and something that was sent to me. So this was an SVG file that was sent to me, and they were in a big hurry to get this made for a cake stand. And so they sent this to me. That they bought this off of Etsy, and so we're gonna just ungroup it here. So see, there's a group. So we're gonna ungroup it, and so you could see it's only 3 pieces, which that's good. So initially, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, well, it's only 3 pieces. That should be pretty easy. If I move this off the white background, that can help us a little bit. So that white bit is a piece. But when I zoomed in, I saw a bunch of ugliness. And then when I started looking at the individual pieces and how this might print, all that little outline, I wanted to get rid of that. And then I pulled out another piece, and we had all this fine lines, which we wouldn't want. This piece is probably okay, but the rest of it was going to require a lot of editing to make it printable. So not every SVG we buy is quote unquote a good SVG for 3D printing. That particular SVG, I don't think it's good for anything. It's not good to make a t-shirt. It's not good for nothing. So what I did is I went out to the old interwebs, and they had the exact same image. So I thought, well, okay. So the next step is, this is a whole process. You got a multicolored image. The SVG that we were given is no good. We need an SVG. So we'll come out here and we'll take a look at our vectorizer here. So this is Vectorizer AI, and I've only tried 2. I have the Creative Fabrica one, which is $5, which I will not renew because I don't like it. But this one is $10, and I like it, and it works pretty good. It does a pretty good job. So we're going to come out here and pick our image to vectorize here. And there's our image. So it analyzes it. And we'll click on download. And notice we have stack shapes on top of each other. So we want that selected. And then down here, group by color. We want those 2 options selected for sure. And then we'll go ahead and hit download. We'll save that SVG to our desktop. And we'll call it TSU. And save it. So now we can pop back into Inkscape and see what kind of mess we've got to work with. So go to our desktop here. And there is our SVG that it vectorized. And if you want to just see how an image will vectorize, there's no demo for that website. So if you just want to see how like a, when we're creating artwork, we want to just click, click, click and be done. And not because we're in a hurry necessarily, but time is money. And so the quicker we can get things accomplished, the better for us in the long run. We can get more done, but also our customer's not going to pay a lot of money. In this case, what did I charge them? $10, something like that. It wasn't much to make it was $10 or $15 I charged to make it. So if I'm going to charge $10 or $15, I can't spend a lot of time on it, right? So at any rate, so that's where we got to get to. Different tools to make it quick and easy, and then we got to have our own knowledge to utilize those tools. But we're going to right-click and ungroup, so you can see it did come in as a group here. So we'll ungroup it, and now you can see we have a lot of other groups. And we picked that option to group by color. So if I click this square here, so I'm just going to pull it out, and we can just start deleting some of this stuff. So you can see all of that outside is now gone. So now this is our logo. Now I'm a little bit scared because we have all these groups still. So, but I'm just going to go ahead and ungroup it, and we're just going to pick it apart and see what kind of mess we got going on. So we're going to right click and ungroup. And oftentimes we'll have even more groups. So we ungroup it, and then there's groups inside of groups, and sometimes there's groups inside of groups inside of groups. Now, this looks pretty daunting at first because there's so many pieces. But what I like to do is I like to just come in here and turn off the things that I know we're going to keep. And that helps us kind of whittle it down. So that big piece of gray, we're going to keep, right? This big piece of maroon here, we're going to keep. This S, we're going to keep, okay? Now, we don't have to do it bit by bit, so we could select this one, that piece of white, this piece of white, this piece of white, turn them off, okay? And then we'll go from here, turn it off. And then we can come here and here and here and here, turn it off, okay? And then so we can get through this fairly quickly. I'm going to leave this temporarily because we got to deal with that a little bit. Turn it off. So this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one, this one, and this one. Turn it off. All right. So, and then this one and this one we need. Turn it off. And then these we need. Turn them off. Now, this whisker, we need to cut just like we did for these. So this little guy here, we don't even need him. We can just delete that one. But these two whiskers, we need to cut. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. So we'll select that one and this one. And when we're doing a cut operation, we can only have one cutter. So what we want to do is we want to combine these two together. So we'll use Control Plus, that is union, which we can also do right here, path and union, okay? And then we're also going to use path and difference. So now we have these two maroon shapes as one cutter. Shift click the white that we want to cut. And there's another thing that we have to be mindful of, and that is the cutter has to be on top of what we're cutting. Now, obviously, this maroon is on top, otherwise we wouldn't be able to see it. But sometimes it's not quite as apparent of what is actually on top of what. But in this case, maroon's on top of white, so we'll hit Control minus, and now we have our whole cut through. So we're going to have a maroon plate that the white is going to sit on top of. So the maroon is going to show through because this white's going to be on our maroon plate. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. So everything else that's not turned off, all these little bits and bobs, we just make a whole selection. You can see there's a whole bunch of them. 49 objects down here at the bottom. It tells us in the status bar. All that stuff we don't need. That's one negative about the Vectorizer AI. It usually always leaves those little bits and bobs everywhere. Okay, so now you can see all of our shapes are turned off. So we're going to go ahead and select our bottom layer, come up and shift select the top layer, or either way. You know, we could do it right here in the middle and just turn those layers on. So we could select the topmost layer and then shift click the bottommost layer and turn any one of these eyeballs on. And now the whole kit and caboodle comes to life. Now, let's go and just take a look at the maroon. This is the other part that you know, as a 3D printer, you just have to start thinking about, is how we're actually going to print this, right? Because depending on exactly what we want to do with it would depend on how we prepare our artwork. And this would be true if we're using Tinkercad or any software. If we're using Fusion 360, it doesn't really matter. Whatever software we're using, we have to know how we're going to print it and prepare our artwork accordingly. So, for example, if I pull this out, what is this? Beautiful. It's one solid plate. That's what we need. Don't even have to do anything with that one. So we'll just turn that off. And let's just go ahead and just call it backplate. Okay? So we turn that off. Now, you can see these maroon pieces that are on top of our white. That is not how those are supposed to be. So we have to take the maroon pieces just like we did previously, right? Control plus to merge them as one cutter. Shift click our white. Control minus. So you can see how using those keyboard shortcuts, if we get comfortable with using those keyboard shortcuts, we can go bam, 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 bam. Like we can go quick. But for right now, if you need to go to the path menu and do it here, then do it there. But if you do kind of force yourself to use the keyboard shortcuts, eventually that's going to start becoming real natural to you. Okay. So what else do we want to do here? Well, you see the white outline? If I just pull a piece away, you see how it's cut out, right? So we could use that to our advantage. Let me pull another piece just so you can see. So they're all that way. Now, that just happens to work out that way in this particular file, okay? So what do we want to do maybe? Well, what I want to do is I want this white outline to be thicker than this gray. So when I go to print, I want this to be sticking up just a little bit. All right, so I need to make all of those pieces one piece. So when I change the thickness in Bamboo, I'm only changing the thickness of the white around the outline. So I just select one, hold my shift key down, select the next one, and I like to just use my zoom wheel. We have a Inkscape video. It's a starter setup Inkscape video that shows you how to set that option up. But we'll zoom in tight, shift click, then we back out. And wherever we put our mouse, that's where it's going to zoom to. Okay. So if I want to zoom in here, just shift click and that one, come back out, shift click that one. And now you can see all of those are selected. Now, one little trick that can be helpful when we're making multiple selections like this, sometimes I like to just choose a different color. And then visually I can see, well, did I get all my pieces? Did I select something I didn't intend to select? You can always hit Control Z to back out and put it back to white if we really wanted to. The actual color is irrelevant. But now that we know we have just the outline pieces selected, we can go ahead and hit Control plus. Okay. So we'll hit Control plus. And Control plus, of course, is union. And so now those are all just one piece. So if I just come in here and select that, you can see those are all one piece. All right. So now that's taken care of. If it's taken care of, we just turn it off. And we can call this our white outline. And that just helps us kind of keep track of what's what. All right, now let's deal with our lettering. So you see here, in this case, the white is sitting on top of this gray piece, right? And if we take the T for the tiger, let's pull that away, you can see that piece is an outline like we had for the white. So what I want to do when I go to print this is I want this outline to be slightly proud of this white letter. So just like we did before, we're going to take that piece of the outline, but oh, we don't have the outline here, right? We need to make the outline. So how do we do it? Well, we take our white. Now we're going to use the white as a cutter. So when we cut, the cutter goes away. So we have to duplicate the white. So we can right click and duplicate, or we could just hit Control D on our keyboard. So we'll right click and duplicate, and then shift click the gray, Control minus. Okay. So the duplicate S is gone. The original S has stayed put. And now you can see we have that. Okay.
Excuse me, Kev. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is there something that you recommend to get to like where maybe I can print like the silhouette shortcuts and stuff?
I'm not sure about the silhouette shortcuts, but I am gonna put together a Inkscape shortcut.
I'm sorry, I'm not silhouette. I'm sorry, Inkscape.
Yeah, I will. There is, if you go to inkscape.org, there is a really good. Let me just show it to you.
Thank you. Because I remember some of these, but some of these are new to me.
Yeah, if you go to inkscape.org, first of all, this is incredible wealth of information. Number one,
oh, wow.
just in general. And that's where you download it right there. Big download button. But there's a lot of learning resources and groups and things about Inkscape. But if we type in keyboard, now next week I expect you to memorize all these. We're going to have a test.
I'm going to print them.
But somewhere here, let's see here.
Keyword shortcut.
Somewhere there
Features, maybe.
Let's see here. Let me there's a whole big PDF of keyboard shortcuts.
Okay. Thank you. Keyboard.
But there should be yes, right here. Inkscape keyboard and mouse transfer. I knew the website had it.
Okay.
But this is actually from inkscape.org. There they are.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did you get to that one? I was looking.
Oh, I just clicked on the website link. I just typed in Inkscape shortcuts and then just clicked on the first website link. But it's right here. If you go to inkscape.org /docs/keys.html.
I'm there. And I did keyboard shortcuts, but that wasn't okay.
Yeah, it's doc and keys, HTML.
Doc and keys. Okay. Thank you.
But so it shows you all of the keyboard shortcuts for tools, for the various dialog boxes. You guys have got to remember all these. For the tools control bar, for the canvas, they have it all broke down. For the document, for the palettes, for files, for windows, for extensions, layers, and objects.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You don't need to memorize all those. There's 5 keyboard shortcuts that I think you should memorize for the most part. But the biggest ones are union and difference, because you can see how much we use that. And then down here, division, which is Control /. So those would be the first 3 to force yourself to use and memorize. And then break apart and combine.
Break apart and combine.
The rest of those you will hardly ever use. So those 5 things, if we can memorize those, you're well on your way.
Okay.
So we have our S cut out of our gray, and now we need our U also cut out. So we select our white U. We have to duplicate him. So Control D to duplicate, shift click the gray outline, Control minus. And now we have that cut. Okay. So now we want the outline of the T, shift click the outline of the S, shift click the U, Control plus to combine those 3 together. And that is our gray outline. And we could just go ahead and drag and drop right down there. And we'll go ahead and turn that off. So now we know that these white parts, the S, the U, so we're going to shift click and shift click, and we're going to go ahead and put those together, Control plus, and let's call it white. And we'll just turn it off. Now you can see we have all these other white parts, right? Now we're not going to come in here and click each one of those little bits. It's not necessary. So we're just going to select one, right click and choose select same. What? Same fill color. So now we just have the white bits selected. And then we can also add the previous white bits. So control click the white. And now we could just go ahead and hit Control plus to the whole kit and caboodle. So now it's all one piece now, right? And we'll go ahead and rename it white. So now that's taken care of. So the only thing that's left is the gray. So we could just select all of it, Control plus, and now it's gray. Now, whether or not you're using Silhouette or Inkscape, if you're using Silhouette, basically it's exactly what I just showed you in terms of process, right? It's the exact same process. We need to minimize the number of pieces when we go into Bamboo. But you could just go straight from Silhouette to Bamboo if you wanted to. If you want to go from Silhouette to Tinkercad to Bamboo, you could do that too. But you don't have to go to Tinkercad once you've done in Silhouette. Now, one thing that you likely will have to do, if you're more comfortable in Silhouette as far as artwork creation, you will more than likely have to take your Silhouette file, come into Inkscape, and then resave the SVG. Because for some reason, Bamboo doesn't like SVGs from Silhouette Studio sometimes. So if you run into an import issue going straight from Silhouette to Bamboo Studio, just open the SVG in Inkscape and resave, and then go into Bamboo, and you should be fine. So now what we have to do is we have to scale this to our finished size. So one thing we might want to do here, and we talked about this in last class, is to set our build plate. So if we come here to the file and come down here to document properties, we can specify how big our document is. So we'll do 256 by 256. That is my build plate on my Bamboo A1. And then we can close that out. And then we have a visual reference of, how big this is going to be, right? But, so that's how big it would be if we left it at that size. But what we need to do is we need the sticks. We need that we're going to stick into the cake. So we're going to go ahead and grab our rectangle tool. And I just hit R on my keyboard to drag out a stick. And I like to make my sticks 6 millimeters wide. So we'll do 6. Now this has if you can see there, it has a stroke. So we're going to shift click on the red X. That will get rid of the stroke. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on my red X and get rid of the fill too. Now I want to show you this because I ran into this the other day with someone, and they're like, it's kind of frustrating actually that it works the way it works. But if I were to turn off my stroke and fill like I just did, and I created a new shape, notice we can't see it. It's there, but we can't see it. And that's because of how Inkscape just works. Inkscape will use whatever the last fill or stroke you had applied. And so that's why we can't see it. So if you ever try to create something and there's nothing on the screen, that's usually why. Because we turned the fill off and for whatever reason. And so the next time we create something, we'll have no fill. So that can be kind of frustrating. So now we can just bring in our post here for our cake. You know, I don't know how long, you know, how long we want it to stick into the cake, right? So we're just going to put it somewhere here like that. Now, I am a real stickler on everything being exact dimension wise. And what I mean by that is the distance from the outside of our logo to the inside, the outside of our stick, I want it to be exactly the same on this side. The very edge of this logo to my stick, I want it to be exactly the same. How do we get there? Well, the easy way to get there is to grab a rectangle and just drag a rectangle that's bigger than our logo, right? And then we're going to take our rectangle and shift click the maroon shape and align that. So we click, this is your alignment button here. We want to make sure relative to last selected is chosen. And then we're going to do a horizontal center. So now this is perfectly centered on the maroon. So we're going to duplicate our stick, Control D, shift click the rectangle. And then when we mirror it, this stick is exactly the same distance from our logo as it was on this side. And then I could sleep easy at night knowing that. All right. So now that we have everything in place, I think that's enough to put into the cake. We can go ahead and select it. And now we can resize it to fit my build plate. So in this case, we want that lock selected. So I'm going to change the height and I want my width to change accordingly. And this value is going to be 240. Okay. So that makes our whole cake topper 172 millimeters wide. And that relates to about 6.5 inches. So 1 inch has 25 millimeters roughly. So that's how you do the math there. So 150 millimeters is 6, and this is plus 12, and then 12 is a 1/2 inch. All right, so there you go. So now we can go ahead and save this. So we'll go ahead and save it. Go to the desktop, and we'll call it Cake Topper. Now just think, you know, like bigger scale, right? It may sound crazy, but now that we have this SVG, we could do all kinds of things, and we might utilize this exact SVG later on for a different project. But I could see where we could make this SVG really, really easily into a little Trinket box, like in just literally a couple minutes. And so now I think I want to do that just to show you, like get you thinking that once you've taken the time to make this SVG for this cake topper, you might even just, because we can do it so quickly, we might just go ahead and, because you know, obviously this was for a graduation. All right. So what if you just go ahead and make the model? Takes 2 seconds to make it. I'm fixing to show you. And then you send your customer the cake topper they ordered. And oh, by the way, would you like this little matching Trinket box too? And you could sell them that too. And then they could put money in stuff or whatever they wanted to for their graduate, right? So so I'll show you how to make that, because like I said, it's a super simple little project. And then you'll have it. And then you can think about other things you can do. So in this case, I like to get rid of everything that we're not using. So we're not using any of the gray bits or the white bits. So we'll just turn all of that off. The only thing we need is this maroon right here. So if we want to make this into a little Trinket box, how do we do that? Well, let's duplicate our back plate. And we're going to go ahead and move this down. So we're going to need a front plate, right? The box has a top and a bottom. Okay, now we need sides. So the sides are super easy to make. We're going to go ahead and duplicate the back plate. And let's just turn off these 2 plates. So now we're just working on the duplicate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to offset that 3 millimeters. Now, I literally just made that up in my head. There's no reason. There's no special reason. I'm just using random values here. So we're going to go into our offset tool. And we'll go ahead and choose 3 millimeters. And this is the exact same process that you would do in Silhouette Studio. You know, you just have to do an offset, 3 millimeters. It's the same exact thing. So so anyhow, we'll hit -3. And you see that this whole thing got just a little bit smaller, right? This whole thing got just a little bit smaller. So now we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Again, we'll give it a different color, and we're going to do another offset. But actually, let's not duplicate it just yet. When we did the offset of -3, we have to go to Path and choose Object to Path. That sets that. Now we can do the offset. So we'll duplicate it, give it a different color, and now we can offset again. In this case, we're going to offset 2. We have to enter a negative value because we're offsetting to the inside. So you see there? 2. Now you see there's some kind of weird remnants there. That happens sometimes. But let's go ahead and shift click the maroon here, and we'll just do, in fact, I think we actually have to get rid of those before we do that. So let's get rid of these real quick. So the first thing we have to do is set that offset. So Path, Object to Path. And this is just a weird Inkscape thing that it does that sometimes. So we'll double click on that kind of brownish shape, and we'll come in with these nodes, just select them and delete them, and go all the way around here and delete them. If we hit our space bar, we can pan if you don't want to zoom in and out. It's just another option. See, when I hit the space bar, we can pan. So sometimes I pan, sometimes I just zoom in and out. But this is kind of helpful because we can stay zoomed in and just pan. And I'm looking for weirdness. So like that, see those nodes that are outside that border? That's weirdness to me. So we'll just delete those. Go ahead. Did somebody have a question? No? All right. So we're just looking for all those areas and get them all cleaned up real quick. I'll show you something else we can do that sometimes is helpful, is we can hold the Alt key down and click and drag and just kind of loop around our nodes that way too. Just a different way of making a selection here. All right. I think we have it all. I think we're good now. All right. So now we can go ahead and take this brownish color, shift click that, Control minus. Okay. Now this is a little weird over here. So we could cut that off if we wanted to. But I just want to give you just a basic idea of how we can take one SVG and create different products with it fairly quickly. Now, I am going to go ahead and rename this to sides. Now, you know me, I like to be difficult, right? So I want to do one more thing. I want to have a divider in my Trinket box. So I'm just going to grab a rectangle like this. And that rectangle, we're going to make 4 millimeters wide. Okay. And we're not going to turn off that locking option. And I just have to decide where my division is going to be. So I think it's going to be right there. So we're going to take this and we're going to line it up right to this one. And we'll pull it down. So I just want this to cross over like so. And then down here, we'll just pull it till it crosses over that border, just like that. So we'll just split our little Trinket box into 2 little sections and just call it good there. So now let's go ahead and turn on these pieces like so. Now we don't need, we need all of that. So what we're going to do is turn these off. and then we're going to resave this. So I'm going to hit File, Save As, Trinket. So this is going to be our TSU Trinket, and save. All right. So now we can go into Bamboo and build these out. So here we are in Bamboo. And let's go ahead and let's start with our Trinket box. I think it's got less pieces. So TSU Trinket, there we go. So there's our box. Now, how big do we want our box to be? Well, first of all, let's just start in by naming all of our pieces. So this is going to be, for example, we'll call this the back. And then this one is going to be our front. And then, let's see, our last one is going to be our divider. And then the second to last one is going to be our sides. And then this is our gray. And that is our white. And this is our gray outline. This is our white outline. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start setting our colors. So we've got gray, but we need kind of a maroon-ish color. So we're going to go with that one. So that'll be color 3. So the front and back is going to be color 3. And just for fun, our sides are going to be white. I think that'll look good. Our divider should be white. Let's make it white also. And our white should be white. Our gray should be gray. So we're just hitting the corresponding number on our keyboard to change those colors. And then the gray outline should be gray as well. So, and yep. So now we have everything colored the way we want it colored. So let's start with our sides and decide how deep we want our little box to be. So I think it needs to be at least 2 inches. So that would be 50 millimeters. I think that looks pretty good, right? So then we'll do our front and our back. So the front, let's go ahead and make it 2 millimeters. And then the back, let's go ahead and make it 2 millimeters. And then we can think about what we want to do for Z height. So on the back, the Z height should be, in order for that to sit on the build plate, half of that thickness. So in this case, it's 1. And then the front, we want it to be, the top of it to be at 75. So therefore, we need to take 1 off of that. So it would be 74 because it's 2 mil thick. Now that is not correct. So let me double check this and make sure that, oh, we didn't make it 3. We made it 50. My bad. So we can alt click this maroon shape and put it back to 49, 1 less than 50. But we need to be on the move tool, not the scale tool. So right here, 49. So now you can see it's completely flush on top. So now you can kind of see what that looks like. All right, so we keep going here. The white outline, that's going to be 2. So we're in the scale tool. We're going to make it 2 mil thick. Actually, we're going to have to make it thicker than that, aren't we? We're going to have to make that 4. And I'll explain why here in a moment. So if that's 4, and we want it to sit on top of 75, we have to add 2. So therefore, it should be 77. Now, we don't have to necessarily, excuse me, not 77. It needs to be 52 because it's only 50 millimeters thick. I keep thinking we're 3 inches thick, but no, we're not that thick. So anyhow, that's what it looks like there. Now, the part that goes inside of that is our gray, which that's going to be 2 mil thick. So we're back on the scale tool. And then on the Z, it would be 51 because we have to add 1 for the 2 millimeter thickness. So that's what she looks like. And that's why we made this 4. So we had a 2 millimeter reveal there. Okay, so then, so we're white outline, our gray outline. Our gray outline, that's going to have to be 4 as well. So we'll make it 4. We'll put it on top of 50. So 52. Now, of course, you guys know how to use that assembly tool. If you aren't familiar with understanding that math, we could just use the assembly tool. So we'll use the assembly tool for the other pieces, just so you can see how that's done. Good sides, the divider. What are we missing? We're missing our white. There's our white. So there's our white. So we're going to make it 2. But we don't want to do the math. We don't know where that should be. So let's go to the move tool and let's just set that to 100 for now. Okay. So now we want to set that in place. So we select our assembly. We go to our assembly tool. I want that white to be right on here. So if we're in Tinkercad mode, think of that as your work plane. And then we're going to come underneath here and select this one and zero it out. And we don't have to do no math. But we still get perfect results. So that's kind of what it looks like now. And then what do we need? Our divider. That's the last piece of the puzzle here. And so the divider would be the same depth as our trinket box. And now, you know what? I got to thinking about something. The box is not quite on there like it's supposed to be, but that's okay for what we're doing. It's okay. Our lid, this lid, it should have been on top of 50, and it's not. But for what we're doing, it doesn't really matter anyhow. So anyhow, this right here should be 50, the same depth as our sides. So we'll go ahead and make it 50. And then that is your finished trinket box. Now, we do have to set this up for printing still, right? But as far as, the basic construction of the box, that's how it works. So to set this up for printing, what we'll do is we'll add, I always start with 6 build plates. And we're going to need, I think, really just 2 pieces. So we're this one and this one. Okay, so we just copy, Control C, and then when you make the build plate active, then you paste. Then make this one active, and then you paste. And it'll paste to those 2 separate ones. So on this one, we can get rid of all the pieces that we're not going to print on this build plate. So this one, and this one, and this one, delete. We're not going to use this one or this one. All I'm doing is holding my Alt key down and pieces to get rid of them. Okay, so there you go. So there's what our trinket box is going to look like to print. So let's go ahead and slice this plate. And you can see it's going to take 4 hours and 23 minutes to print this one. Now, back over here, we've got a couple things that we haven't talked about just yet, but we probably need to. So what are we going to get rid of over here? Well, for right now, we're going to get rid of our back plate because we know we don't need that. But basically everything else we need. But this can get a little bit confusing. So I want to kind of walk you through what we're going to do here. Now, remember, I said that this plate, I don't know if you could really see this and understand it, but our sides are at 50, and 50 is the top of this maroon plate. So I need to raise this up, but I also need to cut a groove on the back side of this plate. So when I put this lid on my box, it kind of snaps to that groove. All right, this will maybe make more sense when I actually do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this assembly, and we're not going to pick stuff over here. We're going to come over here to the Objects tab. And you can see this is the highlighted assembly. So we need everything except our sides. So we're going to click here, come all the way down to the bottom, and just shift click everything to start with. And then we do not need our sides. Okay. We need to move all of that up 2 millimeters because this front plate, I think we initially made it 2 millimeters thick, but we're going to change that and we're going to make it 4 millimeters thick so that we can cut that groove that we need. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and move this up 2 millimeters first. Let's just start there. And this is going to be 29. Okay, so now we've moved that up 2 millimeters. So the 50 is now right there along that bottom edge. So we don't have anything to be able to cut into. So we're going to go ahead and make this 4 millimeters thick. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and click on the thickness here, and we're going to do 4 millimeters thick. Okay. Now, we want to double check where that is sitting, this particular one, because it's not sitting where it should be. So if we did the math, it should be the center of this is at 4. So this should be, let's go ahead and see what it is actually right now. So you can see it's at 51. And I believe that should be at 50. Okay. So with that being at 50, there's 2 millimeters that this side is sticking into because this is 4 millimeters thick. So now let's see what happens here. So we can select the whole assembly and come into our mesh boolean. And this is what we start off with initially. So push everything over. Everything's got to go over here. And what do we want over here? Just the sides. So just the sides. So we're going to use that side to cut the back plate of the lid. So let's go ahead and choose execute. We are going to keep the originals in this example. Now we have to see if it in fact actually cut. Sometimes it doesn't, and then we have another step. So you can see here, our last class, I thought it didn't cut, and it actually did. In this case, I'm fairly certain it did not actually cut. So I was expecting that because it happens pretty frequently. So we're going to go ahead and just right-click and fix the model again. Now, because all of this geometry was more or less created in Bamboo, it goes through this process fairly quickly. Imported models sometimes can take a little bit longer. So now if we do the exact same thing again, we should have better results. We're going to keep the originals just in case. Escape out of that. Alt-click on the sides and move it away. And now you can see we have our groove cut, right? All the way around. See that? So we're good to go. So that takes care of that. So now we have that one, and then we're going to have this one. So let's go ahead and I guess we could just delete the sides because we don't need the sides anymore. And go ahead and set that down on the build plate there. Oh, we do have our divider, which we don't need that either. Actually, now that I think about it, we actually need to cut that slot for the divider or make that divider not quite so tall. I think that is the more prudent move. We'll go back in, we'll make the adjustment here, but that, see how the divider is inside our lid? We'll just back that off 2 mil, and we won't cut a slot in there. So we'll get rid of that. So there is a little bit to make of these things. You know, you have to think about how all this stuff is going to come together. So back over here, we're just going to take off 2 millimeters. So let's go ahead and on that, we're going to make this 48. And so therefore the Z should be half of 48 in this example. So what is half of 48? 24. So we'll just make that 24. And now essentially there's a 2 millimeter distance here. So maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll just take a little bit more off. Why not? Let's just go ahead and make that 46. And then we could set the Z at 23. And then for sure, it's going to clear our lid because our lid's going to, you know, fit in this little groove. Now we've talked about this before. We used our sides to cut our groove in the back side of our lid. But now those two are exactly the same dimension. So this is where that XY contour compensation comes in. We're going to alt-click our sides, come over here to the quality tab, and down here under precision, let's see what we got going on here. Something I didn't expect for one, because we should be able to adjust that. I don't know why. Let's see here. Why is it? That should be adjustable only by object.
Go back up, Kev. I think you went past it right there.
Yeah, but yeah, that's on the global tab, but we should see that on the objects tab. And for some reason, it's not showing it on the objects tab. Be careful when you print this. We only want to print this plate with this setting. Don't print that one. Only this one. So we're going to have to apply it by global. I don't know why it won't let us do it by object on this particular file, but so we will decrease, hit negative, and we're going to shrink it down to, I'm going to go negative 0.5. Not negative 5, it won't let you, but negative 0.5. Half a millimeter difference. That top will very easily fit on top with a half a millimeter difference now. So the artwork part of it, you know, repurposing the artwork for a little trinket box, that didn't take that long. Obviously, building the actual model does take a little bit of time, but to me, I would rather just do it. Show it to the customer. See, we've got this completed one. You know, we showed you earlier. Do the AI image with it sitting on a vanity. I think it could be, you know, a cute little gift. And I always try upsell. Or, you know, you could make a keychain. You could do all kinds of things with this artwork. Sky's the limit, really. So let's go ahead and save this. And yeah, we'll just leave it like that. So any questions on this before we slap our cake topper together? I promise you that'll be quicker. No? All right, let's go ahead and start a new document here. Go to our desktop and cake topper. And I think you guys can start to see too that the more classes you attend, the more repetition you'll see. Oh yeah, he did that on the last one. He did that on the last one. So anyhow, we'll start with our sticks. and I'll talk to you a little bit about our sticks here. So our sticks are 6 mil wide, and I want those to be 6 mil deep also. So square sticks. And then because they're 6 by 6, they have to be 3 to sit on the build plate. Iris, Kia will get the Patreon links posted in the chat for you. And the nice thing about being a Patreon member on that $20 tier for the both of us, all the files that Manye completed and all of these completed files will be part of that Patreon. So plus you get one-on-one call with me, and just once a month, if you have questions, jot them all down and we can take a look at those. And also you get 1 hour of design services. So if you have a file you need made and don't have the know-how or the time, that's included in that $20 Patreon. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. Yeah, it really is a great deal. It's kind of a no-brainer, really. Anyhow, I wanted a little bit of difference right here, and I think I want my sticks to be white. So we'll select our sticks, and let's make them white, which is color number 2. And then we can go through just like we did previously on the previous logo. So let's go back over here to objects. And this is going to be maroon. It's going to be our back. So this is, we'll just call it our back plate. And then this is, what is that? That's our white outline. So we'll call it, you don't have to name these parts, of course, but I like to. And then this is our gray outline. And then this is our whites. Yes, that's our white. And then that is our gray. And stick and stick. All right, perfect. So our back plate for this is going to be 8. There's no magical number there. But the reason I wanted it 8 is because I wanted just a little bit of recess between the sticks and the back plate. And our sticks are 6, so then we had to do 8. So if it's 8, if that is 8, then this should be 4. That's how that works. Half. Our white outline, we already know has to be, let's do that. What do we want to do it? 2. Let's do it 2. And so it's going to have to sit on top of 8. So therefore, the thickness of our white outline has to be 2. And then that should be 9. So half of 2 is 1 plus the 8. And that has to be white as well. So the gray has to be gray. And our gray outline is also going to be 2 thick. And so then that means it's going to sit at 9 as well. And then our white has to be white, and it's going to be 1. Our white's going to be 1. So we'll go to scale and make that 1. And because it's 1 and it's sitting on top of 8, it would be 8.5 because 0.5 is half. So 8.5. And then gray has to be 1. And so therefore it has to be 8.5 as well. And it has to be gray. So we'll make it 5. So there is our cake topper. And the reason we used these values that we used, the side here, we did 3, right? Or no, we did 2, I'm sorry. And that was so we could get this little reveal right here. And we did that on the gray outline and the white outline. Now, there is one negative to doing what we did, and that is the color changes. So once it gets up to this point, past the 8 millimeter mark, it's going to switch back and forth, gray and white, gray and white, gray and white for those layers. So that is one negative, but otherwise, it's looking pretty snazzy. So I do want to go ahead and slice this and take a look at one more thing here. So we'll slice it real quick. Now you can see how these sticks are way inside there. It just kind of, the slicer will figure out the interference there and just do away with it. So you can see this takes about 4 hours to print, but I want to come down and look specifically at these sticks. And this is what I wanted to show you. And not necessarily for this particular project, but just to be mindful of other future projects. If you understand kind of a little bit how the slicer works and some of the different setting choices we have, it might be helpful for you down the road. So I want these sticks. You see here what we've got going on? There's an infill here. And so I want these to be extra, extra sturdy, right? Like I said, for this is not, this would be fine for a cake topper. But what if I wanted those to be extra sturdy? What would I need to change in my slicer so that just those sticks printed solid? Everything else is going to have this grid infill, right? But I want my sticks to print totally solid because I want those to be extra strong. What do I got to change? Well, we would select our sticks, okay? And then we can go to strength. We are in object mode. So these changes we're about to make won't affect any other part of the model. It'll just affect the sticks. So we'll go to strength, and then we can come down here and we could choose this option right here, top shell thickness. Now we could put a crazy number. Doesn't even matter how crazy we get. So for example, for the top shell thickness, this is in millimeters. So we could just make it 8, all right? And then we could come down here to the bottom shell layers right here where it says thickness in millimeters. We'll choose 8 there too. Now, these two values right here, just so you understand this, these two values conflict with one another. And so what it's saying is bottom shell layers is 3. If we did not have a value here, it would just do 3 layers on the bottom and then start the infill, okay? And the same is true up here. These two conflict with one another. So whichever is the greater, that's what it runs with, all right? And then in this case, it doesn't matter for this particular example, but we could increase our wall loops and add strength that way too. Like I said, in this case, it doesn't matter because that's going to all print solid now. So now if we go back to slice plate, hopefully it won't make a liar out of me. Just those two should print solid. So you see we were at the same spot, but look, this is all solid. So if we come down, all the way down and follow that up, solid, solid, solid. You see where we got infill here, but our posts are all solid all the way through. Now that's the infill of our back plate going on top. So if you have a situation where you're printing something and you can see through, you could see the grid infill through and you don't like that, those are the values that you would change. You would change your shell thickness, either the front and back, and then that will kind of disguise the grid that you're seeing through, especially if you're printing white and so forth. Sometimes you could see that through. But so now our sticks were super strong. They'll go into our cake, no issues. So we'll go ahead and save this. And so you could see just in this little example that we did, knowing your slicer and how all that works can, truly be really, really, really useful. Can't stress it enough to really understand your slicer and how all that goes together. All right, so I know we're at the 3-hour mark, so we probably should stop. I know we didn't get to one of our projects that we wanted to do, which was the custom name pen holder. I wanted to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a video of that project, and I'll post it to YouTube so you can at least see how that project is done. I was trying to find a picture of it. Let me just pull up my website here and show you a picture of what I'm talking about. And maybe you want to check out the website anyhow, if you've never been there. But what I want to show you, because I think it'll be an amazing project for you, is this right here. I want to show you how to make this. I haven't actually assembled one yet. I'm going to, though. Maybe I'll get it done by next week. But I wanted to show you how to make this light up, this pen holder, how to create the model. And so, like, you might want to do one for your kids' room or something like that. And so I want to show you how to make this from scratch, and then how to make it so that it's a light box on the front end. And I will give you a link to the LED strips that I use. They have a remote control. So the battery, the battery pack is going to go in this piece right here. This is hollow inside here. So the battery pack will go in there, and then you'll put your LEDs, and then that cover will just boop, snap on, and then you can turn it on and off with a remote. You can change colors. You can make it blink. You can do all kinds of things. The little LED with the remote is $10 for the ones that I get from Amazon. So it could be a fun gift to make, for a baby shower or just for your kid's room or whatever. And you can make it a lamp or not make it a lamp, either way. So this particular file comes with a 3D printable lamp, just like you see it. The logo is added on after the fact, it's just glued on. And of course we do have those logos as well for the various teams. So you have this I just posted today, but that is in the paid Patreon too, guys. So if you're a paid Patreon member, that's already there. But anyhow, you have the different logos and stuff. So, and if you do want to get in on some one-on-one training, that's the link for that. Your first session is just $15 an hour. Otherwise, we charge $30 an hour if you want more in-depth one-on-one instruction. Well, Iris, we'll have to get together and figure out what's going on with your Patreon. I know I talked to one other person the other day that was struggling getting into her Patreon, and what she did is she used somehow an old email address that she didn't intend to use. So when she went to log in to her Patreon, she was using her new email address, but set up the account with her old email address. So anyhow, we'll figure out how to get you in. And we're going to try and do a better job of getting these project files posted more urgently. So you're not waiting days and days and days and days. We posted the project files for the Chanel candle holder that we did like a week ago last night. So we want to be more on the ball with that.
Okay, and because of time, like when we do these projects and stuff, that's why we had to break it down. So if you are silhouette and tinker, more strong, that's more user friendly for you, I'm going to run back the cake topper tomorrow. We can't say how long our projects take for us to work on them. Like designing, it's no set time frame when you come in, especially when you're teaching. Now, when you know what you're doing and you coming in here outside of teaching, yeah, we can come in here and get a lot of stuff done quicker. But in this type of setting, it takes time for us. So tomorrow, I'm going to lead off with the cake topper to finish off with this. Kev wanted to do that pin holder. So like he said, he's going to get a video. He's going to do a short video for that one.
Oh, we can do it tomorrow's live too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well,
that'll
then
be fine.
that's fine. All right. Well, we'll add that to tomorrow's live. Tonight, I'm going to get the syllabus together. I am going to put another poll in the like I said, in the feature tab. Always go in the feature tab, guys, because anything I'm always updating it, always adding new stuff to it. I'm going to put in the feature tab a post for you guys to comment projects that you guys want to work on, because we don't want to just keep doing stuff. So the things I brought today, that was stuff that I seen people posting. It was floating around. They wanted to know how to do it. So that's why I started with that. And it's user friendly, it's beginner. So we're gonna try to, break it down and slow it down a little bit. I don't want y'all feeling like y'all gotta cram all this. It's not. I see a lot of people talking they gotta catch up. You ain't gotta catch up, because we're probably gonna do the same project just with different images probably 100 times. Like, seriously, guys, you're just going to see it at different times. We don't know. Just to be able to help everybody get up to speed, because we got new people every day coming in. So, yeah. Other than that, I will make sure I get the files for tomorrow. Everything that I'm going to do, I will make sure the files, everything is up there. I will have everything up there before noon tomorrow. You will be able to go to the Patreon and see the links for tomorrow's class. And I think that was pretty much it. You got anything? Anybody have any questions?
People, please make my candle holder. I made mine last night, but I got to paint it. But I have a challenge on the Facebook group about making this candle holder and painting it up and see what it looks like.
And also, so I was not expecting us to grow like this. And I said, when we hit 1,000 members, I wanted to do the first giveaway for trendsetters. So with that being said, we are at, I think, 432 members. So when we get to 1,000 members, we're doing our first giveaway, which will be a A1 Mini with the LTE combo. It's going to be our first giveaway at 1,000 members. So I'm getting ready to put that post in the group. Only thing you have to do is invite 5 friends to the group and click comment done when you invite 5 friends, and that puts you in the entry. So once you comment done after you invite the 5 friends, then your name will go on the wheel, and when the wheel spin, whoever whoever's name selected wins the A1 Mini.
And that could be a little workhorse for you.
Also, when we do this stuff and y'all start working on, I've been saying I get happy when I see y'all post y'all stuff. It really makes me happy. So I think I want to incorporate a project of the week also, meaning whoever has the best project of the week, we'll put everybody in there. Whoever, we'll probably spin the wheel, because I don't really like choosing who's the best. I rather, let fate choose. So I'd rather put it in a wheel and let them choose. So we'll probably do a wheel, and whoever wins that, they probably get like a free design off the website, or a free one-on-one, or you know what I mean? Something like that. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well. But if you guys don't have anything else, I enjoy, per usual. I thank you guys so much. Something easy and cheap. Something right. Okay, the pluses. I think the pluses meaning like, yeah, like, yes, I think that's what they mean. But yeah, so if you reached out to me and you asked about the link for the one-on-ones, I'm gonna get that link up there as well. Once I get that up there, I'll put a post in there. I'm gonna start the Patreon Discord. You can download Discord on your phone. It is free to use. You do not have to pay anything, but download Discord, because there will be a 3D a Trendsetter Discord coming. Also, be on the look. Okay, so I just looked in the group. I peeked in the group, and I seen somebody had put, they joined this group and was told that the playbacks was going to, be available. We're not a university, guys. We are not a university. There's not a site you can log into. You got to actually take classes and click on stuff and all that. That's not how we're structured over here. Our videos, our playbacks are all on his YouTube. All on YouTube.
If you go to my YouTube channel here, you see it on the screen here. It says All Things Creative. And we have, if you click on playlists, right here, it says Live Classes Library. And when you open that playlist up, you'll see wrong playlist. This one. But you see all the lives right here. So all the previous lives should be right over here. And you can choose what you want. And they're the whole live. So some of them you could see 5 hours, almost 6 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, almost 3 hours. So yeah, they're all right there for you.
All right, Kev, can you cut the recording?
Yeah.
Thank you.